When you need to talk to a private eye.
You want to be talking to Jim Rockford.
That's right. He's the one to talk to.
They don't know who you're talking to.
Rockford.
He's got everyone talking.
What kind of lowlife is he?
Takes out half-page ads in a phone book.
I seem to recall the phrase, moderately intelligent private detective.
You have a smart mouth.
You're right, I do. But I'm working on changing that.
Jim Rockford is all the talk on MeTV.
He's something else, all right.
Weekdays at 11, 10 Central on MeTV.
On the program today, Dennis Hart from KMJ here on Connect with Me, live from the showroom floor at Ventura TV. And today we'll talk about a number of things. We'll talk about the Lawrence Jones shooting that took place on Election Day last week. We'll talk about the Beard brothers verdict that also took place and the election. That's right, President Obama re-elected for another term. The phone number here is 559-265-4331. We're back with Dennis Hart in a moment.
I want to discuss the importance of the television medium to the American people.
We encourage your phone calls today, area code 559-265-4331. We want your opinion because on this set today there will be opinions going back and forth every which way. Whichever way the wind blows, we don't know. We want your opinion. 265-4331. I want to say once again, happy Veterans Day to everybody, even though I said it on Friday. Bill Dietzel was the guest here, a veteran, a master sergeant, of course, in the Air Force. He was a great guest. And last week, you might recall, during Election Day. It was on Election Day in the morning, very early in the morning, where we had that tragedy take place, that workplace shooting. Lawrence Jones apparently was the shooter. He killed two people, took his own life. Of course, Dennis Hart of KMJ was on the scene. We have some video or some audio that we want to play as Dennis went on the Ray Appleton show that very afternoon, straight up at 12 o'clock to explain to the audience from Sacramento all the way to Bakersfield what happened on Election Day of all days to have a workplace shooting. Here's how Dennis described the scene to Ray Appleton on the program on November the 6th, last Tuesday on Election Day.
Of this moment, what we know, basically what we reported at noon, is that apparently 42-year-old Lawrence Jones, who had worked there for about 14 months, been an employee of the plant for 14 months, came to work about 4:30 this morning. An employee told police later he didn't seem to be himself. Don't know exactly what that means. That's the way Chief Dyer did it, talked about it about an hour and a half ago. 3.5 hours later, about between 8 and 8:30, apparently Jones, according to police, pulls out a gun and starts shooting. And unfortunately, he hits 4 people, kills one, a man, wounds 3 others, 2 men and a woman. They are in serious to critical condition. Then he runs outside and apparently takes the gun to himself and shoots himself. He is in critical, grave condition right now at Community Regional Medical Center.
An absolutely horrifying story. Live in our studio right now to talk about this in just a few minutes is Dennis Hart of KMJ. He did a phenomenal job of covering that story early in the morning, and also on that day he covered the elections. Dennis has many years of experience under his belt, both radio and television. You know, I forgot his book today. It's called Monitor. I was supposed to bring it back to him. He's also written 2 books about Monitor. That was the NBC radio program that was on the air for 20 years on NBC Radio, of course. But Dennis is going to be here to explain, you know, what happened and what he saw the day of the shooting, that horrific workplace shooting here in Fresno. I believe the first time we've had a workplace shooting here in the Central Valley. Your phone calls are encouraged. 265-4331. This day, we're celebrating the day after Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day to all you people who served honorably for the sake of our country and all of us. Back in a moment.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the save energy, save time, save money place. The Energy Star qualified #1 rated high-efficiency Cabrio from Whirlpool Place. You heard right. Right now, save big on select Whirlpool Cabrio laundry pairs and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months. At the hometown low price, think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place.
And welcome back. Dennis Hart is here. Good to see you, my friend.
Good to be back, my friend. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. I know I forgot your book,
Yes.
but a great book, Monitor. You've written 2 versions of
Yes,
it, and
yes.
I'll get it back to you, I promise. But
Over
anyway,
lunch.
yes, over lunch. Who's buying?
You are.
You know, talk about this shooting now. You were on KMJ. I heard it in my car. I mean, listen, you've been in broadcasting a long time. I've heard a lot of reports, either on the radio or television over the course of the last 20 or 30 years. Some of the best reporting, on-scene reporting I've heard in a long time, many years, Dennis. You did an outstanding job.
very kind.
Describe the scene when you went there.
Well, when I got to the scene about 9 o'clock, got the call from the station. I was home at 8:30, got the call, rushed down there, and everything...
How long did it take you to get down there?
About 20 minutes.
Okay, so you got there roughly about 10 to 9?
About 10 to 9, 9 o'clock. We
Okay.
didn't know very much. We knew that a wide area was blocked off. When I got there, though, on hedges near Blackstone, we couldn't get within, half a block of hedges. But I noticed, I saw that there was a body lying across the street from me. Okay, it turned out to be Lawrence Jones' body.
Right.
We didn't know that at the time. We didn't know any details. We knew that somebody had been shot. Rumors were running rife, and I don't go on the air with rumors. In fact, I mentioned this on Ray's show.
I heard that, yes.
I'd rather be first to be right than first to be wrong. There were
Right.
all kinds of wild rumors about who had been shot, how many people had been shot. It was a grim scene. People were gathering. People had heard the reports on KMJ. One person came up to me and said he had been walking down Blackstone Avenue, and this was before I went on the air with anything. He said, I saw this guy running out of the building, and he was dressed in a workman's outfit, and I asked him what was happening, and the guy told me that the workman told him somebody's shooting inside. Somebody was shooting inside. Another guy came up to me and said he'd heard a number of gunshots as he was driving down Blackstone Avenue. That's what I heard.
Wow.
Nothing official until about an hour and a half later when Chief Dyer held his first news conference, and he said that a man he identified as Lawrence Jones had gone in, a worker there, had gotten to work at 4:30, had bicycled to work. And 3.5 hours later, as I reported on KMJ, he starts shooting people. Didn't have the details that we got later in the afternoon from the chief when he held his second news conference. It
But you
became
didn't
even
go on
more
the air with
horrific.
anything until you heard from Dyer, basically, right?
Well, I went on the air at 10 o'clock with a live report describing the scene,
Okay.
saying the area was blocked off, police all over the
but
place.
few details.
Very few details.
Okay.
I did not go
All right.
on the air with rumors because rumors are destructive. You don't want to do that. It inflames the community.
I'm sure there were, information flying back and forth on Twitter,
Yep.
Facebook,
Yep.
whatever else.
People
Whatever
coming
others.
up to me saying they had heard this via Twitter, they'd heard this, seen this
Yeah.
on Facebook, etc.
Social media.
Didn't go with any of that, okay?
Sure.
Because that's unofficial. In a case like this, you want to be sure what you say is right because it impacts thousands of people listening to the radio station, watching a television
Exactly.
station, et cetera,
Exactly.
et cetera. So I didn't go with anything until I heard it from the police department, okay, which came about 10:30 or so when the chief held his news conference, and then later another one at 1:30. And it was worse than we thought. It was a grim situation. What we learned was that Lawrence Jones had a 4-chamber gun, a Derringer, that he took to work with him. He went up to the first person, and he put the gun to his head and fired. Went up to the second person, went up, put the gun to the head, fired, killed those people. Third person shot them in the neck. At that point, only at that point, did somebody notice what was going on. A woman. She started running out of the building. He fired at her with his last shot, hit her in the back. She staggered out, and she was on the ground outside.
She lived, though.
She lived.
Yeah.
And 2 of the people, well, she was one of the 2 who lived. The other 2 died. He then went up, and this is chilling. He went up to a 5th person, put the gun up to their head, and fired, but he only had 4 bullets. He had expended them. He would have killed a 5th person. Who knows, if he'd had a gun that had 12 bullets, 9 bullets, it would have been a massacre inside that building.
Yes, it would have been.
He then went outside, walked outside, reloaded his weapon, put the gun to his head, killed himself. He died on the way to the hospital or at the hospital, etc. It was horrific. To this moment, on this Monday, after the shooting, we don't know why he did it. We have no
We
idea
don't
what
know
prompted
any
it.
more than we did last Tuesday,
That's
do we?
correct. That is correct. He had worked at the plant for about 14 months. He apparently had not had a significant number of problems at the plant.
Criminal history, though.
He
Criminal
had a
background.
long criminal history. He'd been in prison, okay, for gun violations, for domestic
Felonies.
abuse, etc.
Right,
Exactly.
right.
He was not an AB 109. He had not been released early from jail because of overcrowding or
I
anything
had
like
heard that early on.
Right, right. That
Okay.
turned out to be wrong. He had been released from parole, okay, and his parole officer said, "Don't do it. He's a potential violent man. He
Do
could
we
harm
know
the
at this
community.
point why they released him?
He had
Overcrowd. What was it?
No, he had finished his parole. I mean, that's what
that
happened.
was done.
Yeah,
He was done with it.
It was done.
Interesting. Well, we're here talking with Dennis Hart of KMJ about the Lawrence Jones shooting last Tuesday. It was Election Day, and the number here is 265-4331. Dennis, I want to ask you, a lot of young reporters might be listening and watching our program. What advice do you have for them if they come upon a scene like that, a crime scene, as a young reporter? What's step number one, step number two, or should I say rule 1 and 2? As to the do's and don'ts?
Well, the hardest thing right now, because of the rise of social media, the hardest thing is not to go with rumors.
It's the hold back, right?
It's the hold back, right? Because you've got competitors out there who may not have, any compunctions about putting wrong information on the air. Okay, that's happened often. We see it happening in television all the time now, and in radio, where on crime scenes, people will put stuff up because they've heard it. Then they have to backtrack.
We've seen it during elections.
Yes. Here's the first rule that I have, and I may not have had this 30 years ago, but I know now. Be the first, as I said, be the first to be right, not the first to be wrong. You don't want to put anything out there in a situation like this that can be harmful to the community, that can inflame the community. One of the things I heard, okay, and I can say it now, I didn't say it then, is that 8 people had been killed inside the plant. I heard that. Now, what if I put that on the air? That inflames this community immensely. And that's what a couple of people came up to me and told me. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I haven't heard that from the chief. I haven't heard that from the police department. The police department's the only one gathering information that knows what's going on. But you've got rumors. You've got rumors of rumors. People walking up, hey, I just got this on Twitter. I just got this on Facebook.
Now, what's the difference between that and, say, interviewing an eyewitness that was inside the plant? What if they're giving you wrong information? What do you do then?
You have to moderate what you're hearing. First of all, the eyewitness may have seen only a fragment, and eyewitness accounts are notoriously, and reporters know this, unreliable. You can have 3 different people looking at an accident or a shooting scene and get 3 different stories about what really happened.
So you have to be careful with an eyewitness.
Exactly right. And the eyewitness, they are always emotional, and emotion colors what you see and what you say. You have to take that with a grain of salt. It's hard for a young reporter. They don't have the years of experience. They're not as old as I am. But age brings a certain amount of wisdom, as you know, being your age, okay?
Yeah, I know.
There are certain things that you would not say. No, I'm being very straight now.
I know.
There are certain things that you know, and I know, that young reporters just haven't had the experience of going through. Once you put something wrong on the air, we've all had that experience of being wrong on the air.
I've done it.
I have too. You never want to do that one again. So first thing for reporters, don't go with social media unless you've seen it yourself. First of all, you should only report what you've seen. And only report what official people tell you, official sources, in a situation like this.
Official sources meaning the police or the coroner or
That's correct.
Whoever else might be available.
Correct. That is correct.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
there were rumors that other people had died in this shooting, but until the coroner confirmed it, I didn't report that.
Plenty more to talk about with Dennis Hart. I hope you call in. The phone line is open, 265-4331 on this Monday as we celebrate the day after Veterans Day. We're talking about the Lawrence Jones shooting. We'll get into some other topics like the Beard brothers, their convictions, or their verdicts, I should say, not convictions, but the election as well. President Obama in office again. What does that mean for Republicans? Ooh, I don't know. We're back in just a moment.
And here goes.
Some shows force you to laugh. But with Mary Tyler Moore, laughter comes easily. Mary Tyler Moore. More laughs and more.
The more the merrier.
It'll tickle your funny bone.
Would you like to borrow a feather?
Weeknights at 9, 8 Central on Me TV.
That's all, folks.
And we're back here with Dennis Hart again, talking about the Lawrence Jones situation. You know, Dennis, I know you've heard this before. Of course, you were on the radio with Ray Appleton last Tuesday. I want to play one more clip that we have, an audio clip from Dennis Hart from last Tuesday on the Ray Appleton show, describing what was going on and talking about the scene at the workplace shooting and what Dennis saw, what Dennis heard. Here he is in his own words on KMJ.
there are always rumors when you get to the scene, and reporters as old as I am have done this, covered things like this before. You never put those on the air because they are invariably wrong. In this modern day technology, you get Twitter feeds, you get Facebook stuff. All of it wrong.
The great over-communicated society.
Over-communicated society with people taking rumors and rumors of rumors and turning them into fact. So I had several people come up to me, X number of people are dead, X number, all of it wrong. I didn't go on the air with any of it because none of it's confirmed. Until you hear it from the police, none of it is confirmed. And as far as I'm concerned, none of it should go on the air because it just inflames things. And that's the last thing you need in a situation like this.
Well, you guys call it an over-communicated society.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to over-communicate?
Well, I think we see that virtually every day now. Yeah, I think we see.
What exactly does that term mean, over-communicate? Give too much information or wrong information?
Both. It means too much useless information. It means a cacophony of information that makes it impossible to sort through what really happened. I mean, we have these great technologies of Twitter and Facebook now. They're marvelous, democratizing, if you will, technologies. Unfortunately, most of what goes on there is useless. And it covers up what you have to be getting at on a scene like this. You have too many people putting out fragments of information, figments of their imagination, things that they believe must have happened. A reporter has to be able to sort through that. You have to be able to say, what's the key thing? And the key thing is you don't report what you don't know. You don't report rumors. I remember a few years ago, and you'll remember this, a shooting at Roosevelt High School in southeast Fresno, where a student attacked an officer who was on campus. And there was a shooting.
I remember that.
I went to that scene. There were rumors when I got there. Parents were gathered all over the place. The worst rumors were rumbling through about the number of people who had been killed, who had been shot to death. Things that if you put them on the air would have inflamed, again, I come back to inflaming the community. I have a responsibility as a reporter, every reporter in this city does, to be accurate, to be right, not to be the first again to be wrong with what we go out there. We're not reporting rumors. I report facts as I know them or as I see them. And I kept that off the air at Roosevelt. I mean, there were horrendous rumors rumbling around there. All turned out to be false, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, I think we can over-communicate. I think we do on a daily basis now. We have too much technology with too many people able to put stuff up that is knowingly wrong or unknowingly wrong. It messes things up.
Now, Dennis, when I went to school, and that was quite a long time ago, I went to college, okay? They taught us I took a journalism class, okay? It didn't do me that much good, but I did take it because I was actually working in broadcasting when I was a teenager.
Sure.
But the 4 W's, who, what, when, and where, do they still apply today?
Of course, and why and how, okay?
Right.
Yeah, that's what we're seeking, all right? But we have so much, again, let's put cable television in on this. Let's put talk radio in on this.
Have those W's been forgotten?
Not forgotten, but there's so much pressure, so much pressure out there to be first with information. Because if you're not, somebody else is going to be. Often the information that they're first with is incorrect, and then they just go back and say, oh, well, we were wrong about that. We're sorry. Well, that's not good enough as a journalist, okay? You can be wrong all you want. That's not reporting. That's mindless, okay? Yeah, I think that because of the pressure of the social media, because of the pressure of the technology of cable television, 24-hour news, journalism is suffering right now. It doesn't quite know how to react to all of this.
And you have a lot of people incensed right now with this Lawrence Jones shooting, and then on Election Day, 3 strikes. It, of course, passed, that Proposition 36 passed.
Right.
That inflames a lot of people on the other side. They want 3 strikes. They think this guy should have stayed in jail, or at least he should have remained a parolee. How do you see it?
Well, in terms of, first of all, 3 strikes, a majority of voters, a vast majority of voters in this state decided it was time to modify that. We respect the will of the people, don't we? It is majority rule in this country. The majority voted for President Obama. The majority voted to change 3 strikes. You respect that, or you throw out the whole system. And I don't think that's what we really want to do, is it?
No.
So you respect that.
But many of these propositions, you've seen it before, they get challenged in court, even if they pass. Is that right or wrong, do you think?
It's the legal system. It's the way our system is set up. We've heard a lot of criticism over the last years about the judicial system, primarily by social conservatives when things don't go their way, when judges rule against them. We've even heard the legitimacy of the judicial system questioned. It's not in question. It's in the Constitution. Guess what? The U.S. Supreme Court gets to rule on the legality of laws. The state Supreme Court gets to do that. It's how our system was set up. You may not like it. That's okay.
But it's the best system we have.
It is the system that seems to have worked with us for a couple of hundred years.
Yeah. All right. How about the Beard brothers now? You covered that as well, didn't you?
Covered the verdict on that, yeah, and that's a very emotional verdict. The Beard brothers were convicted of manslaughter in the shooting deaths of Hesketh and Moore. A very controversial trial, very tense trial. I will
controversial verdict, too.
Controversial verdict because of the manslaughter versus first or second degree murder. But look, the jury deliberated this for more than a week. It was a very difficult decision. The facts were never quite clear, okay? What is clear is that Hesketh and Moore were chasing the Beard brothers.
Why weren't the facts as clear as we think they should have been?
Because different people testified about different things. Because it was not...
Different people saw different things.
Sure.
Okay.
Eyewitnesses. And of course, those involved saw different things.
Right. And I harken back to the statement you made a few minutes ago. We can't always rely on witnesses.
Because eyewitnesses see a snatch of what happened. They didn't see what happened 10 seconds earlier, 10 seconds later.
Exactly.
You have to take that into account. Now, they were convicted of manslaughter. They're going to jail for a period of time. All right. There was testimony, evidence that Hesketh and Moore had methamphetamine in their system. They were chasing the Beard brothers. Now, why did they have guns? They're 19 and 16 years old. A lot of kids have guns. A controversial verdict. Family members very upset. Mr. Moore's father was almost in tears outside the courtroom, very upset by this. Hesketh's father couldn't understand the verdict.
Outraged.
Fully. And as you know, in one of the first court appearances that they made when they were being arraigned, very early in this case, one of the family members of the victims tried to leap over the divide there and tried to get at them. When that verdict was read, there were more than a dozen sheriff's deputies in the courtroom, everybody looking at the audience. It was tense, I will tell you that. I have been in many tense courtroom verdict situations. This was among the most tense when the verdict was read.
We're talking with Dennis Hart. Our phone line is open. If you're watching, we encourage you to join the conversation. Up next, we're going to talk about the election, the re-election of President Obama, the 44th President of the United States. We're back with more of Dennis Hart. And your phone call, 265-4331.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the low-price leading brand's reliable advice place. The Whirlpool Dream Kitchen Get Yours Today place. Check this out. Right now, get huge savings on select Whirlpool appliances and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months. At the hometown low price, think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place.
And we're back, and we're talking about the election that took place just a little bit less than a week ago. And a lot of people on the Republican side, Dennis, they're shocked.
Yes.
Some are suicidal, in fact.
Talk show host.
That Romney did not win. Yes. Why did Romney lose? How do you sum it up?
Well, Romney lost, number one, because he didn't get a majority of votes. But the Republican Party is a party right now of largely exclusion, not inclusion.
Are they in disarray?
Yeah,
because
I
you have
think
so many
so.
disagreements within the party.
They're useless here in California. They've been marginalized here in California
Right.
over the years now. But look, who didn't vote for the Republican candidate? Who didn't vote for Mitt Romney?
Hispanics?
Immigrants did not vote for him. Blacks did not vote for him. Young women did not vote for him. The Republican Party over the
now
years
you have to
has
ask,
excluded those people.
Why didn't they vote for him? That's the question.
Well, because the Republican Party is perceived, a good column on the Wall Street Journal's website today by a college student who says the Republican Party is perceived right now as a social bigot party. Okay, you've alienated immigrants with your anti-immigrant stance. You have Republican candidates out there who insult women when it comes to rape and pregnancy. You have made no move to gain black voters or young voters. There are a lot of reasons why the Republican Party is in trouble right now, because they've excluded all of these folks as potential voters.
Well, during the debates, I heard Romney say, that he would cut off the funding to PBS. No offense to Big Bird.
Right.
Did that hurt him?
Sure.
Across the board, and how?
Well, because he was playing to the base there. First of all, PBS's funding is nothing when it comes to the federal budget. Big Bird is nothing. But
Right.
that's a symbol of the Republican Party. NPR, a symbol to the Republican Party of big government gone bad, okay? So you're playing to your base there, but who are you alienating? Heck of a lot of people listen to NPR. Heck of a lot of people watch Sesame Street and PBS. A generation of children have watched them. So I think the Republicans have a perception problem right now. The reality is they're not reaching out. The country is changing. It is less rural. It is less white. It is less evangelical. The Republicans have not responded.
All right, quick phone call here. Good morning. You're on Connect with Me. I think you are. Well, you were. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine. My name is Paul. I'm calling. I'm watching Connect with Me right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The subject right now is when you're speaking to a gentleman about why. One of the questions was why Mitt Romney didn't win, and this gentleman needs to get his facts straight. He was he was speaking about how you have to, in journalism, you have to have what, where, when, and why. And right now, he just came out with, when they asked him that question, why Mitt Romney didn't win. He said because Hispanics didn't vote for him, women didn't vote for him, blacks didn't vote. No. Get it straight. I'm Hispanic, Mexican, Chicano, whatever you want to call me, but I'm Hispanic. Wow. I voted for Mitt Romney. Get your facts straight. Some Mexicans did vote for him.
Right, some did. 73% of Hispanics voted for Mitt Romney, though. 73%, 93% of blacks voted for him.
Yes, but he said, right now, if you rewind it or listen to it again, he said they did not vote for him.
Right.
Well, he got it wrong. I did.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's just I just want to call in and
okay.
Get
all
the facts
right.
straight. Okay.
Thank you for your comment. Well, the bottom line is the majority of Hispanics voted for Obama. The majority of blacks voted for Obama.
The
vast majority of women voted for Obama. Because your point is that Republicans are alienating these groups with their party line.
I think the Republican Party, and who knows what they're going to do or how they're going to respond to this. It's up to them, not up to you or me to advise them, etc. But the Republican Party has to make a decision at some point whether they're going to become more than a debating party or a talk radio party. Right now in California, they're just a talk radio party. They have no power in the state. 30 years ago, the Republicans dominated California. But Ronald Reagan won landslide victories in California.
Because
it was an overwhelmingly white population. And it was a more inclusive party. But what's happened in California? You've had millions of immigrants come in over the last 30 years. How has the Republican Party addressed that? Well, Prop 187, which alienated virtually every Hispanic in the state.
That was a Pete Wilson deal.
In the 1990s, right. That doomed the Republican Party in California. Okay? Now, let's make it clear. I'm not saying that the Republicans did not get a Hispanic vote. They just didn't get very many of them. Okay?
Right.
How do you address that in California? Well, it's almost impossible right now. The Democrats have a supermajority. They're going to be able to do whatever they want.
And out there fanning the flames on the radio every day, nationally,
Talk
is
radio.
Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah, and today, Limbaugh was saying that he didn't really see the need to reach out to Hispanics or to women for the party. Okay, well, what's the alternative if you don't do that? You can maintain your minority status, and by minority I mean white voters. White men still voted for the Republican Party. The South still voted for the Republican Party. But virtually every swing state has now swung Democratic. The only big state the Republicans have in their cash right now is Texas, and that is going to be a swing state in the next couple of election cycles. Because why? More Hispanic voters down in Texas.
Right. So if you look at the vast majority of the states across the country, they're becoming more and more like California.
Yes. The swing states, the big states. You've got big
because
cities.
You have more Hispanics, you have more minorities coming in to vote.
Now, you can decry that. I mean, the Republicans obviously... some Republicans, maybe a majority of the extreme right, would like to deport immigrants. That's not going to happen. You have to get real about this. You have 11 or 12 million immigrants in this country. They're not going to leave. You're either going to alienate them. Many of them are going to vote. They're going to get to vote. What do you do about that? Why do you have candidates out there, as the Republicans did with Aiken and Murdoch, the senatorial candidates, talking about rape in a way that sounds like it's 17th century, and women turn against it?
Why isn't Limbaugh realizing the same thing that we're talking about right now?
Because he doesn't have to govern. He's a talk show guy. He doesn't have the responsibility of getting votes out, of governing. He can just criticize from ideological purity. Okay, that's where he's coming from. He criticized the Republicans today on the air because he said they're about to abandon me. They're going to denounce me. Well, if you want to win elections, maybe that's what you have to do.
Yeah. Dennis Hart, you know, this time goes by quick.
I can't believe.
Yeah, I can't believe we're done. We have so much more to talk about. But you're going to come back again. You're back in December.
Next month, we'll do it again.
That's right. All right. Dennis Hart, always good to see you, my friend.
Good to be here.
Gosh, I've known you a long time. I can't believe how many years we've known each other now.
It's because you're older than I am.
I know. Yeah, but I look better than you do. We're back tomorrow. Brett Hedrick is going to be here talking about the auto show that benefits Children's Hospital. See you tomorrow.